if it's a life, under what circumstances is it okay to take that life? I've heard people talk about the fringes, which is often the argument in situations like this. The fringes being rape, incest, um, and things like that. But if we're going to deal with the fringes, at what point, if it's a life, under what circumstances is it okay to take said life?
We are back. See, you got me nervous. You told me you trusted me. I gotta go back to
another episode of Podcast Official Page. All right.
It's the podcast. We ain't the cable guy, but we your Comcast. Come take a seat. We need to speak and we can all laugh. Last Monday of the month, 7:30. Zoom in, chime in. We be talking dirty. It's the podcast. We ain't the cable guy, but we your Comcast. Come take a seat. We need to speak and we can all laugh. Last Monday of the month, 7:30. Zoom in, chime in. We be talking dirty. This is the podcast. This is the podcast. This is the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
It's the podcast. This platform for you. It ain't for me. So let's hear what you got to say.
This has been the best broadcast we've
Okay, the
had.
topic for this month is, what are your thoughts on abortion? I'm really curious why is the abortion subject so sensitive, especially to, I guess, to say have your own opinion. I mean, and I don't mean even just on this podcast. I mean like in life. Like it's almost like, you know, this is the new way to get canceled if you say the wrong thing about abortion, especially if you have a particular feeling about it.
I am going to say what I'm gonna say and hang up because I don't want. No, I'm joking. My only issue with the conversation is the people that I've dealt with who feel like a man shouldn't have anything to say about it.
Mhm.
I think that's trash because based on what I was told by one of the parties involved with my existence, they wanted me to get aborted. And had they got what they wanted, I wouldn't be here.
Mhm.
So I think everybody can make their choices, but it ain't for me. It ain't something I would promote or push.
Got you. That's where you're leaving it at, right there. Okay. So I do have a follow-up question. When you say that, I guess a man should be involved, you mean in all aspects, or you mean like if that's the father of that particular child, or like what all men should be involved?
I'm talking about the father.
Mm.
I feel like the father should, even though it was my father wanted the abortion,
Mm.
and I'm grateful to my mother that she didn't listen to him. But yeah, I think that that's a life. That's what I say. I think that's a life. I think that's taking a life. So yeah, I think that's taking a life.
I'm pro-choice. I think it should be up to the woman's decision what she wants to do with her body. However, I can be a little fair and say that I feel like the woman should be able to listen to the man. If that man not ready for no child, and if you choose to have that baby, you can't hold that man accountable. He told you before he wasn't ready for a child. But I do feel like at the end of the day, it should be the woman's decision on what she want to do. It's her body.
I mean, I guess where does the line get drawn? Like if it's her choice because it's her body, but the man should have a say so. Like I guess what's the ratio?
No, I didn't say he should. I said if he has a say so, I understand. But I didn't say he should. But I mean, I I don't know what it's like to be with somebody who didn't want the kids that I had. When people say they mess with certain people and the man didn't want the kids, my first thought is, why you had a baby from him? I would never had a child from somebody who didn't want kids. And if I did have a child from somebody, I wouldn't necessarily want to force him to be responsible for something he already said he didn't want.
So another question.
But
do you think that I guess do you think those type of conversations should come up before just say the rubber is removed from the situation? Because if you
absolutely, because I tell everybody I don't want no kids, so I automatically expect if something happened, you paying for my abortion.
Okay, yeah, I'm saying
it comes up off top.
But I'm saying, but should y'all even go the route of even just saying having unprotected sex if that's the discussion?
Ain't nobody gonna be with each other for the rest of their life wearing no condom. Ain't nobody doing that.
Okay. All right.
Ain't nobody doing that. Nobody. The only way you doing that with somebody is that they keep bringing you some type of STD or throwing off your pH or something like that going on. But ain't nobody just being with nobody for 2, 3, 4 years and wearing a condom. That's not happening.
That's not true. That's not true. You see some of the kids, if I knew that my son was going to turn out like he turned out, I'd have wore a condom all the time. But not knowing that doesn't happen.
It's so crazy.
I keep one on in my dreams. Listen, man, ain't nobody want no kids for some of these women. And some of these kids shouldn't even be here. So it's a difference. If a woman want to get rid of a child, that's true. I think she should have that right to decide what she want to do with her body. Like they saying, they're making laws not saying they can't get rid of the kids. And then when the kid get here, turn out to be a devil child. So sometimes, I mean, it's in their rights to get rid of kid, their child. And that's the way they want to do. But I think if you're married, you should have a discussion. And behind the discussion you have, then you can make a decision, and then you make a choice whether or not that's what y'all gonna do. Because it takes two. You wasn't in it by yourself now. You know what I'm saying? When y'all was and oohing, it was both of y'all. So I think y'all should have a yeah, you know what I'm saying? When it was good to you. You know what I'm saying? It was both of y'all.
Right.
So don't just jump up and say, it's my body. I do what I wanted when it was your body when you was giving it to him. I mean, that's besides the point. Once it's a child involved, it should be a discussion. You should have a discussion of what y'all gonna do with this child. You understand? So sometimes, a woman just think because it's her body, she can do what she wanna without, including the husband or the boyfriend or whatever you have, So I think it should be a discussion on it.
I kind of understand where Justice is coming from, because I probably in today's society have the less popular view of abortion. Because I fundamentally, my profession is advocacy for children. And as a believer, I believe that conception is the life. At the point where the sperm meets the egg and it conceives, that is a life that God has given, has started. And so it's more than a woman's body. You're just the carrier of this life, but it's more than like your gallbladder or your appendix, or your lung. It's not an organ of your body. You have just been blessed to be the carrier of a life. And so if you have that baby early and birth them at 6 months, and as soon as that baby is out of your womb, you do something to them, you're going to jail. You throw them in the alley and somebody catch you or whatever, you're seen as awful, you're going to jail. But just because the baby is still inside your womb, it's still a baby. It's still a life. And who protects it, who speaks up for it, for that child, because it's still inside. It's considered a part of a woman's body, and then once it comes outside, now it's a life standing on its own. And I just believe that at conception, it's a life, and who is to stand up for that child to protect that life? Now I know, and I don't know what the answer is to, the one-offs. I'm talking about abortions in general. We know we have the one-off, some, a 12-year-old is raped, or, those kinds of, but those aren't the norms for people getting abortions in mass. I worked at a high school, and God bless them, but the girls were using abortions as birth control. Scott, I'm going to get it Friday. They come back, they're not pregnant. And 2 weeks later, they're pregnant again. And they used it as birth control, just because I don't want it by that man, or he don't want me no more, or whatever. And so, but my fundamental stand is that that at conception, it's a life given by God. And who is to say even, well, up to 6 weeks, it's okay to get rid of the life, but if it's 4 months, it's not okay. Even that whole conversation, my stance is at conception, it's a life, and someone has to speak up for that life, because that child cannot speak up for themselves the same way when they're outside of the woman's body, and they can't speak up for themselves just yet, which is what I do every day, is speak up for children who can't speak up for themselves, that are outside of the body. Well, that same child deserves a right for somebody to speak up for them and to try to help them and save them when they're inside of the body. So for me, I have 2 children. It wasn't my body. I was blessed to carry that life inside of me and give birth, but it was not like an organ or something in my body. I was just blessed to have the womb, to have the carrier, to hold it in there for 9 months and then release it. So
if somebody is pregnant, right, and somebody does something that causes that pregnancy to be lost, they can be charged with murder. Or if somebody was to murder a woman who has a child, they'll be charged not just for the woman's murder, but they'll be charged for the murder of that child. Is there, like, say the woman is only a couple of weeks old, is it still possible to charge that person for this child being a part of this murder situation?
I think that varies on states. There are some states where it doesn't matter what age of the fetus is in the 25, 30 states or whatever, but that's a state to state thing. But there are states that say it doesn't matter what age, how far along she is. If somebody kills the pregnant woman and she's pregnant, it's considered double homicide. But not all states have that. But about 25 or 30, about half of them, a little more than half, do have that.
Sorry to interrupt, but I do want to let you know something just in case you're unaware. All right. This podcast actually is sponsored by a church. This platform was actually created by a pastor, Pastor Earl Wilson, the pastor of New Beginning Ministries of Tampa. Listen, I know sometimes you may hear content on here that may not sound the holiest of holies, but that's the point. We allow people to come on here and express themselves and be themselves the way that they talk, or the way that they think, the way they operate. It ain't no judgment. Hey, do you, boo-boo. Do you, okay? But nonetheless, if you live in the Tampa Bay area, we want to invite you to church, all right? 11323 North Nebraska Avenue. That's where we located, okay? Tampa, Florida. Pull up on us. You live in the Tampa area, pull up, man. We'd love to see you. Okay, we'd love to see you. And if for whatever reason you can't pull up in person, you need to do a live stream, attend virtually, we go live at 12 noon every single Sunday. The real service in person is at 11 a.m. The live stream is at 12 noon, okay? On Facebook, you can watch it. On YouTube, you can watch it. Facebook is New Beginning Ministries of Tampa. YouTube, New Beginning Ministries of Tampa TV. Facebook, New Beginning Ministries of Tampa. YouTube, New Beginning Ministries of Tampa TV. Okay, we go live at 12 noon on the dot, and if you want to come in person, we go live at 11. All right, pull up on us, man. We'd love to see you. We'd love to see you. All right, come join us. Let's see your face right here.
at New Beginning Ministries of Tampa.
Welcome to the podcast.
All right. Now go back to listening to this unholy podcast.
So my stance is a little in the middle.
Okay.
I definitely believe that abortion should not be an option. But at the same time, I feel like just as, you know, we have choice in everything else, we have choice. Like, I don't believe that people should choose that, but I also feel like I'm not the person to tell somebody what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can live my life and do what I'm supposed to do and be in charge of me. So I'm not going to tell the next person what they should and shouldn't do. I feel like that's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
But do I think it's good or something okay? I wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also never been in the predicament to have to make that choice either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my like middle stance on that.
It's like if you can't take care of your kids, and you know, I done heard females say, young ladies, it was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the young man might say, me neither. I'm in school. I can't take care of no baby. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they get together probably with their parents if they're young, and they get abortion. I have no females that got abortion, you know, and I felt at the time, if you're not ready, then it should be your decision. But then, you know, you don't hear like when, you know, back in the days when we was growing up, you make your mama mad. She said, I wish I would have never had you. I should have had an abortion. And then you say you should have had one. So, you know, that's something that stick with kids sometimes. But you know, if you look at life, that's what I'm trying to say. If you look at life like everything this black and white, then that's the road you'll take. You know, oh, it's wrong. But then if you look on the other side and say, what's so wrong if it's my body? You know, most women think like that. Oh, it's my body. I do what I want to do with my body. And they trying to stop abortion now. People yelling, you know, stop it. Some people yelling, you know, you can't tell me what to do with my body. So that's like saying, I'm putting you back in slavery. I'm telling you what you can and cannot do. And if this land of the free, then you should be able to make your own judgment. You understand? So that's another way of looking at it. Somebody is telling you about, like if somebody telling you, you can't cut your hair. You're like, why? It's my hair. Well, in this country, it's a law that you can't cut your hair, you know. So people making laws, but they behind the scene. They don't know what the other person is going through, the other woman going through, you know. What if she high risk? And she feel like, you know, it's, you know, because I knew a young lady with high risk. It was either, you know, get rid of the baby or take a risk and, you know, you die on the table because it's a 50-50 chance you very high risk of having a child. So it's different scenario, I think.
Right.
That's why the subject is touchy, you know. You never know what's going on with the other person, you know.
So some of what I was going to say was related to what the gentleman before me, I think it's Mark. But first, I want to say that I got on here because I did think the topic is explosive right now, obviously. And I kind of wanted to hear what everybody is thinking, especially young people, especially men. You know, I have friends, so I know what we think. And we're older, so we've been around long enough till the law was not even a discussion.
Right.
And that's what I want to get to, is the fact that this is even being brought up is because, well, first I want to say my own personal belief is that, yes, I do believe that a baby is formed and at conception, I'm sorry. But I do still believe that we have a right to choose. And I believe that because, for one thing, our freedoms have always been at stake in this country. But the other thing is we do have laws that protected the woman's right to choose. And that's where I was going with this. This became an issue and it exploded for political reasons. This is not about women and their babies and their decisions to have them or not. All of this, and we're talking about it, and everybody is talking about it because somebody decided to make it an issue and take away people's liberties and their rights. And if we're going to start down that road, it's not going to stop here. And the other thing is, it's so personal. I think, like I've heard everybody talk about it, and we all have different thoughts about it, judgments, etc. But those issues are medical issues. They're very personal between families. I know that everybody's, starting to talk about it more, and it seems like it's just conversation now. Right. Kids having babies, kids getting abortions, da 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 da. But it's a personal decision, and I think that people need to be able to deal with that privately with themselves and their doctors.
I fundamentally understand the situation on the table now, especially now because it's so volatile about, having the right to choose and liberties and things like that. But as a nation, we don't seem to have a problem of, we don't have a right to choose to murder someone else, to go out there and shoot somebody without consequence, or to extort, or to steal, or, those are laws protecting us, the society from acts like that and people like that you don't get to do that without consequence unless they don't catch you. But there is no right to choose to kill or to choose to do that against another person. And so yes, we do have a right to choose what happens with our bodies. Now, if they were to say, well, you can't get your appendix out unless the law lets you get it out. Okay, now that's my physical body and so forth. And again, I don't know what to do about the one-offs when there are medical reasons, like it's between the mother and the child, or the 10-year-old gets raped and ends up pregnant, or those kinds of one-offs. But those are not the vast majority of abortions that's happening. And again, because I do believe that life happens at conception, then just like I don't have the right to kill somebody that's standing outside my house if they're 6 months old or 60 years old, I don't have that right to choose to do that. Then I just don't feel like I have that right to take the life of a child just because it happens to be I'm carrying the package. And it's kind of conflicting for me because it is political now, and a lot of the people who are, who support pro-life probably politically are on the other end of the spectrum of where I am as far as politically, but I just have to stand for what I feel is right. It has nothing to do with politics. I just feel God gives life at conception, and who am I or anyone? We don't have the right to choose to give life or to take it. And then just like with drinking, they say, be responsible. If you don't want a DUI or potentially go out there and have an accident and kill yourself or kill somebody else, you need to be responsible with your drinking. Then we need to be teaching, responsibility then with our sexual intercourses and how not to have children if that's what you don't think you want and so forth. We have to teach to be responsible then, because just like if you're not responsible with your drinking, you might end up with a DUI or with an accident or something tragic happening because you weren't responsible. And so now you're going to jail or you're suffering consequences. And so I just see it, the same. The conception is that life, then I don't have the right to take that life. I really don't. That's just how I see it.
If it's a life, under what circumstances is it okay to take that life?
And is it a life, meaning what, like at conception?
Yeah, at any point. In order for it to happen, life has to be involved. It can't, it's not, if it's dead, it won't happen. I've heard people talk about the fringes, which is often the argument in situations like this, the fringes being rape, incest, um, and things like that. But if we're going to deal with the fringes, at what point, if it's a life, under what circumstances is it okay to take said life?
If anybody does want to answer that particular question, just that question is on the floor as well. If you still just want to state your thoughts on abortion in general, you can. But if you do want to answer Justin's question directly, you can as well.
I don't know, man. That's tough, dog. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that's tough. I don't even know what to say after that. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, what's explain? I mean, why you feel like why is it tough?
Because if we talking abortion, that means it's a life already. Right. If you talking about abortion, we ain't talking about it's still a sperm or you just a week. We're talking about this thing been going on for some weeks and has been turned into a human. Mm-hmm. And like I heard someone say, it's not right for another human to take a human, bro. Mm-hmm. It's not, I don't know, man. That's tough, dog. I just said, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it. You gotta do it like tomorrow. Like when you have sex, you gotta do it right then and there. You gotta handle it, if that's the case.
Right.
Yeah, let me answer the guy was asking if it's a life. Yes, once it start process, like when my wife lost, she lost like 3 babies because she was high risk, and I goes in the bathroom and it's a like a little fetus, but she couldn't, it dropped, and and she said, get it out the toilet and take it to the doctor, and so he could see it because they was wondering why she kept having miscarriage. Okay, it started as a form. Once that egg, that sperm enter that egg, it starts to form. It's a life. It's becoming a life. So I say this, like the older lady said, once they start telling you what you can do with your body. Now y'all got to hear me on this. Once they start telling you, you can't do this with your body, and then they already mess with the freedom of speech. They so sensitive. You can't say certain things. People offended. But back in the 70s and 80s, as you grow up, these things was in the dictionary. Some of the stuff that you say, to people. Oh, you can't say this like gay. Gay mean happy. So once you start saying what you can't say, and then, they got this crazy mayor here, DeSantis, you can't say this. You can't say, what you mean I can't? That's my First Amendment rights. So once they start taking these rights, they might start saying it's a baby and stuff, or what you can and cannot do with your body. Then they can put you back in slavery. They might as well. Because then you got to do everything they say because it's a law. And like the young lady said about you should take a life. Yes, you can. If you threaten me and my family and you in harm's way to hurt me, it's a stand your ground law here. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. So you're going to make a decision. If that person on the outside try to break in, he can come on in my house. I don't think he's going to leave. So it's laws. You're right. It's laws to this. But once somebody is trying to do something to you, and you make a stand, then you whatever comes, you deal with that. You're going to make a choice and a decision. But when a woman say like, okay, I give y'all one. You married, your wife laying on the table. The doctor come and tell you, we can save one or the other. If we try to save the baby, your wife gonna pass. But if we try to save your wife, the baby gonna pass. Who you gonna choose? Let's think about that.
I'm choosing my wife.
Exactly.
I'm keeping my life.
Exactly.
My wife.
Exactly. See, you're gonna choose the person you were with longer. Because I don't know that baby. In fact, I probably don't even know that baby mine now. But what I'm saying to you is, you're going to make a choice. See, you can make another baby. But you might can't have that same woman that you love, your wife. So some people say, the baby, some men. You got different people with different choices. So I just say it like this. Once a baby starts to form, it's a life. But it's a decision you make, whether you want to keep it or not. That's going to be your decision.
So look, I'm coming from a different perspective on the question, because The power lies within the woman, period, about her being mindful, about her knowing her body. All women go through puberty. You know, we have a menstrual cycle. We have sex education in class. We learn about ovulation. The only time that gets tricky is if a woman has um, something like irregular cycles, right? Or endometriosis, or, tumors, or something like that that's going on that will cause her not to know when she's ovulating. But they have apps now this day and time. So let's talk about this day and time, because there's apps that help you keep a track of when you're ovulating. And we all know that if you're not ovulating, then you can't get pregnant. So it's at the ovulation is when the whole process actually starts. Once a woman start ovulating and that egg comes down, it's ready. There's a process. When the sperm hit it, that's it. That's it. That's life. Life has started. That's the seed. Just like a tree, you plant a seed, it grows. It's gonna produce something. And this day and time, my personal opinion, women have gotten away from just modesty. We are having one night stands. We're choosing men to be our children fathers, and then we decide, well, no, we don't want them, so now we don't want to be pregnant, but we wasn't careful. There's all type of tools out there that you can protect yourself, from the pill to a shot to a patch to condoms. There's all kind of things that can be done for a woman that is not ready to birth a child yet. So to me, rather, abortions really wouldn't be talked about if women would be mindful of their bodies. Know your body. We know our bodies. We know when our pH level is off. We know when something's off. So the thing is that you get pregnant, it's like, oh, I didn't know I was pregnant. Okay. I mean, yeah, it happens, but it happens because you're not being mindful. You're not being conscious of what's going on with you, because you're too far outside yourself, or too distracted, or stressed, or it's a lot of things, right? However, I just feel like we shouldn't look at a soul and return it like it's an outfit or a pair of shoes that didn't fit or didn't go with the outfit that we have, which is that man that we're with, or our situations or circumstances. And I'm speaking on like women that are believers, okay? Because we say we believe, but then when it's a uh-oh, sometimes we have, oh, now we have a choice. Now we have this. Yeah, we have a choice to be careful. We have a choice to be conscious of what we're doing with our bodies, period. And then since the 80s, we've had AIDS, we've had all these sexual transmitted diseases. This day and time, there's stuff they're teaching them in school about stuff I never even heard of, that my grandchildren are learning about as far as sexually transmitted. So I'm kind of wild at some of the things that's out there now. So even with that, so we're still opening ourselves up to, things that can happen, but then we complain when the ending result is not what we wanted. So that's just my take on the whole abortion thing, is that yes, women have a choice. Yes, this their body. Okay, I'm with Lionel on that. It's not an organ. It's not, your kidney or your liver, or your gallbladder or something. It's a human soul. It's a soul. And we just have to be more mindful about those blessings, So we don't always get them the way we want them. It's not always planned. It may not always be the right time, but the Most High God always provide. So, when we're in those situations, it's about faith. They have adoption agencies, and they have fathers, families that would be willing to take children. You have family members that can't have children that's willing to take the children. So you have so many. There's just so many other ways to do things as far as saving children outside of abortion, where the parents can still have the life that they want to have, after those 9 months. What's 9 months? I mean, come on. But that's just my opinion, right? And that's all I have to say.
I hope everyone, I guess just even leaves this conversation with not only an open mind, but even just just say even with your own thoughts. I think one of the big things that I want to speak to is, a lot of times, especially in today's time with social media. I mean, I'm sure it happened even when we didn't have social media and we only had just say the news, but with the news plus social media, it's very easy to allow other people to tell you how to feel and tell you what to think and how you should operate versus what your stance actually is. Which I'm assuming even goes to show not only just in this conversation, but even just in life right now, why abortions is such a big topic. Because I do get on the surface level that there are just say a bunch of men lawmakers who are making these decisions that affect the carriers of life, which are the women, and so now it comes off as these men who are trying to control women. So I do get that stance, but I also do get the stance of, if you do conceive, especially if you conceive consensually, where there are a lot of options to prevent yourself from conceiving in the first place, then, and then only using just say abortions as a form of birth control, or just because, you no longer want to be in the situation you've kind of put yourself in. I can see that stance as well. Myself as a man, and even just as a believer, and even just a person who has just say their own opinion on the subject matter. I do understand. I've never been in a situation where, so first of all, I don't have kids at all, but I haven't been in a situation where just say I have a young daughter who was put into a situation where she was, or even just a daughter in general, even if she was grown, but she was put into a situation where she conceived unconsensually. And so if that was my daughter, I think I would probably have to be in that situation to decide, like, okay, yeah, I definitely, want my daughter to have an abortion or not. I think that's kind of hard for me to speak to that, because I mean that's a tough situation. If I was in a situation where I was to get a woman pregnant, whether this was somebody who I actually had feelings for or not, if I went in her, unprotected, me personally, I already know the risk that I'm taking. Just like if I were to get behind the wheel drunk, I know the risk I'm taking. If I were to run up in a bank and try to rob it, I know what risk I'm taking. If I were to sell drugs or to do anything, like I'm not going into any situation not knowing the situation, just say that I could possibly end up in. So if I were to put a woman into a position where she conceived because we were having unprotected sex, then regardless of how I felt about her, if the baby, happens, then it just is what it is. We have to figure it out. But once again, in those one-off situations, I won't really speak to that. I like somebody even said earlier, I don't know what the resolve is to that, because I mean that's tough. I think you kind of have to be in that situation to make that decision. I do know people who have children that exist right now as a result of conceiving without their consent. So I don't know. Maybe you can talk to them. Maybe they have a answer on why they decided to see it through, and then maybe you can also ask someone who decided to go the opposite way. But in general, I do think that if you make a conscious decision to do it, then make a conscious decision to see it all the way through and raise the child. So that's my take. That's all I have. I'm assuming nobody else has anything else. So that being said, and this actually probably being our shortest episode, normally we make it to an hour. It's barely even 50 minutes. But I appreciate y'all anyways. I appreciate y'all who are willing to walk on the eggshells today. Hopefully we didn't crack too many of them. And I think this was a great conversation though that needed to be had. So once again, just please think for yourself. Don't allow anybody else to control your true feelings and your true thoughts, and even just do your own research and come to your own conclusion. So